Browns fans, are you ready to take your fandom on the road? Join True Fan Travel, an official fan experience partner of the Cleveland Browns, and travel with other Browns fans like never before. Everything is taken care of. Flights, hotels, tailgate, game tickets, transportation, food, drinks, everything that's important to Browns fans. Each trip will also include an exclusive meet and greet with former Browns players. Visit TrueFanTravel.com today and reserve your ultimate Browns travel package.
It's time for the Burning River Sportscast. Do you believe in disappointment? If you're a Browns fan, you're all too familiar with this feeling. An offense that can't move the ball, a defense that can't stop the ball, a kicker who can't kick the ball, and a coaching staff that seems utterly lost. No, this isn't the Hugh Jackson Browns, even though it feels like it at times. Losing to the lowly Giants is certainly a low point for this iteration of the Browns, considering the talent on the field. Here's a bittersweet pill to swallow. Should we even be surprised? Key offensive linemen missed most of all our camp. The rest of the O-line seems to have Benjamin buttoned right into obscurity. Your quarterback, returning from surgery, practiced about half the time, and only sometimes with your starting receivers, who also missed significant time. Nearly none of your starters played in August, and this type of effort is the same lack of fight and execution that we saw in every preseason game. Why would we expect a different result when this is the team they showed us they were all off-season long? And so, has the Browns' lack of preparation, health, and aging keystones put them in a position to fail? At 1-2, it's certainly not over, but is there any hope that this team can overcome adversity and right the ship? Is there someone on this roster who can galvanize the troops? One thing's for certain, something drastic needs to change, and change quickly, if this team has any postseason aspirations. And we'll break it all down for you next on the Burning River Sportscast.
The goddamn Browns. He puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
Yeah. He puts mayonnaise all over his body, too.
Ew.
I heard that once.
So, I heard that one. They say that.
They say
sometimes.
Somebody said that.
There's no such thing as a game that the Cleveland Browns should win. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. The limit does not exist.
The year that we only won one game, the next year everybody asked, Deb, what do you think? And I said, we'll win more games than last year. And we went 0-16.
The Red Rocket is back, baby.
I think we're way too quick to just be like, well, Deshaun's getting hit at the top of his drop back. He's not. He's got the 9th best time to throw in the league, and he's got the most attempts and the least amount of yards. This guy sucks ass. Run the damn ball.
We all have knees. Well, I guess not all of us. Sorry to anybody who doesn't have legs.
What is happening right now? This is the injury report. What are we doing here? Lieutenant Dan ain't got no leg.
Wow, that's Lieutenant Dan.
Ice cream.
The Browns fucking suck.
We are the worst.
I think it's incredible it didn't get eaten by something.
Right, in Yellowstone?
Yeah, right.
There's lots of bears.
Could have been Haitians. Welcome into the Burning River Sportscast presented by the fine folks at Tappan Media. I'm Kenny Thunder, a man who thinks General So is a person and is ready to fight him for some Mugu Gai Pan. He's Red Hot Ronnie Jams, and back on the board today, the guy who wrote the original script for Goodfellas based off his own spiritual journey watching hippos make love. He's the Big Bone Man. Bone, what's your favorite snack place to stop at in the mall?
Oh, Annie Ann's pretzels. By far the best.
I thought for sure it would be the Cinnabone. Back to Red Hot. Where can our listeners find the dopest dope they ever heard on a podcast, as well as the unofficial podcast of Cleveland Browns backers everywhere?
And the official podcast of Cleveland Browns backers somewhere. You can find our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Podcast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, the only place that you can find our video podcast. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handle for all those is at Burning River Sportscast, and we are on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, as well with the handle at Burning River Pod. And while you're at it, check out our merch, www.thetappenmedia.com/shop. Got all kinds of stuff in there. The River gear, Chubb line, Brook Park Browns gear. It's all in there. I think I'm going to include something new this week. I think I'm going to do what we said on our live show on Sunday, and I am going to make a shirt with just somebody with a paper bag over their face.
Yeah.
And it'll just say something like lifelong Browns fan or something.
You know what would be dope is if we could print the inside of the shirt with a paper bag and you could just whoop.
I like that. I don't think we have those abilities yet, but
No.
one day.
Coming soon.
One day. Today on the show, this is what you can look forward to. We got Dog of the Week, Division Roundup, Around the NFL, Hot 3, interview with the Browns backers group. This week is the Vegas Dog Pound.
Vegas, baby.
King of the North, Gassed Up, Week 4 preview, and oh so much more. You thought you were mad after last week's game? Just wait till you hear what we have to say about this week's game. But first, let's get things started with the Burning of our news story of the week. All right. So, have either of you seen the movie Homeward Bound?
Of course.
Of course.
You seen it?
Fantastic movie.
Have
Watched
I?
it 20 times when I was a kid.
Nice. It was one of my favorites. Have I got a story for you?
Oh.
Benny and Suzanne Anguano were visiting Yellowstone a few months ago, and they brought their cat, Rainbow, with them to visit the park as well. Well, one day they were sitting at their campsite, and something in the brush moved real fast and startled Rain, who ran off into the woods. Unfortunately, even though they looked for the cat every single day they were there, the rest of their trip, they were unable to find the cat, and they had to make the difficult decision to head home to California without that cat.
It's probably easy to get lost in Yellowstone.
Yeah. And they said we had to leave without him. It was the hardest day because we felt like we were abandoning him. Well, fast forward a little bit. 60 days later, they're at their home in Salinas, Monterey, when they suddenly got a call from an SPCA, whatever that is, in Roseville, located in northern Sacramento County, that they had found Rainbow. So basically, this cat went on an 800-plus mile journey trying to find its way home before it was finally found and returned to its owners. I think she would have made it.
Yeah, it's impressive.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think she would have made it. And if you look up the story, the cat actually looks a little bit like Sassy from Homeward Bound.
Oh.
Yeah. So I just found this fun because as soon as I saw the story, I was like, no way. It happened.
I think it's incredible it didn't get eaten by something.
Right, in Yellowstone?
Yeah, right.
There's lots of bears.
Could have been Haitians.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's in Ohio.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say pets are pretty amazing, but your point works too, I guess.
Impressive.
Yeah, that. I mean, I guess. So was the cat microchipped then? I guess that's how they found it.
I don't know. I didn't read that far into the story. I don't even think that detail was in there because the story was like 6 paragraphs long.
How did they know Rainbow belonged to the people in Monterey, California?
Probably had a collar on.
I guess so. I guess that's fair. I was just gonna say. I mean, it's a good like anecdote to like get your pets microchipped because
that's what I would say.
In the event that they travel 800 miles from home, it can still be found.
Good point here. Yeah, definitely. As well as having a collar, your cat or dog or any animal should be microchipped as well.
People eating pets notwithstanding. Yes.
But yeah, one more thing before we get to football. Let me remind you, call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Don't forget to call and leave your hot takes on the Hot Take Hotline. Remember, these are hot takes.
We want hot takes. We want hot takes. We want hot takes.
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080. Call now. Operators are not standing by. It's just a voicemail.
Nope.
It's just a voicemail. We'll put you on air. We'll talk about your take. It'll be great.
Look,
It'll be a fun time.
I know there's people pissed off about this.
If you're not mad, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Because that was pathetic.
You're not watching. You're not listening if you ain't mad.
Get angry.
Yeah, and speaking of getting angry, we're doing things a little bit different this year. If you're looking for the Week 3 recap, where we were very angry, then you're going to have to go back into whichever podcast platform you're listening on or watching on and find our live episode from Sunday night. We are now doing live shows for our weekly recaps.
Anything can happen.
And we're doing this because we wanted our instant reactions, wanted things to be raw, so raw.
So raw.
But yeah, we're still going to have this show every week. We just have that show too.
Yeah, we got 2 shows a week now.
2 a week.
One live.
Double the fun with Burning River Sportscast.
It's like a Kit Kat.
Yeah. But next up here, the Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week, baby.
Doesn't matter, man. You got to play tough people in the National Football League. You got to be ready, and we got to be the dogs that we are every time we step on there on Sunday and be ready to attack and don't stop until we're in that locker room.
Webster Slaughter, he really likes to tell everybody how to be dogs, you know?
That's a long one. You're right. That's going to be a problem.
Don't be a part of the problem.
Yeah, be the whole damn problem.
But anyways, we changed this segment up a little bit as well. We used to just pick Dog of the Week. Yes. We didn't like that. We thought that the fans should be involved. We thought all of our listeners should get involved. And
it's a democracy.
The way we're doing this now is on our live shows on Sunday. We each nominate a potential Dog of the Week, and then we turn it over to social media so that our fans and our listeners can all vote on the Dog of the Week.
Sometimes Bone steals your Dog of the Week.
That's true. He did. He stole yours. I had it even written in the show notes, and he was a dick. He just
let me go first.
Yeah, that's a bad job out of him. I didn't think he would do it, but he did.
He did.
What a bad guy. But yeah, so this week's nominees, Bone went first, so he nominated Amari Cooper. And then Kenny came in with Grant Delpit, and I nominated Ronnie Hickman. And so this week's Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week is Amari Cooper. Coop wins it. So Cooper this week, 12 targets, 7 receptions for, 78, 87 yards and 2 touchdowns.
86 yards.
86 yards and 2 touchdowns.
TV.
It's on the TV. It's behind me. I don't have eyes in the back of my head.
I do.
Oh.
That's why my hat's backwards.
I'm facing the TV. I could have read it.
Well, you did steal Dog of the Week from Kenny. So it is Amari Cooper. One of the few bright spots in that game was the resurgence of Amari Cooper.
Yes. Last week we opined that Amari Cooper would show up in a big way and kind of right the ship. This felt like a get-right game for him, and it certainly was right off the bat. In the first 11 seconds, had the long, I guess, like medium, intermediate touchdown pass. It was 20 yards or so.
24.
And then the wheels kind of fell off the wagon there for a while, but the one consistent all day long was that Amari was fighting for balls.
Yeah. We actually were texting throughout the game, and we have a group text going, and we'll reference it a lot because we say a lot during the game. It's why we have a podcast. We never shut up. But we were texting a lot during the game, and the one thing that kept coming up is the level of difficulty of his catches just kept going up. Like, every time you think he can't make a more difficult catch, it happens.
Yes, every single catch he made was a circus catch, which, again, I don't know about the sustainability of that.
But it was cool for a game.
It was nice to see for a game that he was still able to go out there and fight for the ball, which is good.
Yeah. And so, again, this week's Burning River Sportscast Dog of the Week is Amari Cooper. And now, real quick, in other Browns news, since the game ended, we have learned that Wyatt Teller is out 4 to 6 weeks with a grade 2 MCL sprain. Another big loss for the offensive line here.
Yeah, you figure we've been without our tackles all season, really, and felt like you had Wyatt, Ethan, and Joel there in the middle, and you at least had that kind of nucleus of your line, and now you lose the crocodile wrestler, so that's not good.
And he sends nice Christmas cards.
Yeah. So I'd assume his replacement's going to, I don't know if they've named it yet, but I assume Zach Zinter will be stepping in to the guard role.
Is he I thought he was hurt earlier in the season.
No, he played in the game on Sunday.
He's back!
So, they haven't announced that yet, but that'd be my guess is that he would step in. So
great. I've just become numb to this whole offensive lineman getting hurt thing. I'm just like, well, who the fuck cares? Just give me another one.
They certainly need depth there.
It's what they used to do, and it worked.
Yeah, but it's not like that anymore. Yeah. It's not like just get me another one, they'll be fine. It's like just get me another one because they all suck.
Well, that was when they were all coached up properly by a fellow that no longer resides in Berea. Or dearly departed Bill Callahan. So
he's the best. We miss you, Bill. Please come home.
Andy Dickerson so far has been.
Please come home.
So.
You know it's not fun working for your son. Just come back to Cleveland and coach our team instead.
Yeah, you want to coach for you want to play with Will Levis.
We want you back, Bill.
He puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
Yeah. He puts mayonnaise all over his body too.
Ew.
I heard that once.
So, I heard that one. They say that.
They say
sometimes.
Somebody said that.
Yeah. And then next up, not to be outdone, Myles Garrett here remains day to day with a quote unquote feet injury. Not just foot, not just singular.
Yeah, feet.
Both feet
His
injury.
feet hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, his feet hurt.
I like feet.
I do not know why. I just watched it the other day. Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, not a great injury though.
No.
Yeah, what worries me is that outside of the typo, is that they've been a little, clandestine about this. So like they haven't really said what exactly is the feet injury, just that his feet hurt. So
His feet hurt.
Could that be a high ankle thing? Could it be something like a Liz Frank thing? Is it an Achilles thing? Like, we don't really know.
His feet hurt.
All we know
Plantar
is
fasciitis.
all we know is
That's
his feet
what
hurt.
we don't want it to be.
Could be a turf.
We don't want it to be plantar fasciitis. We don't want it to be Liz Frank injury.
We don't want it to be anything serious. Maybe he just needed a good foot rub.
Yeah.
Been a while since Miles had a pedicure. He's like, hey.
He probably should talk to Deshaun. He knows some good masseuses.
Couple ingrown toenails.
I went there. I did it.
We're going to hell.
I did it.
First the Haitians, next the massage therapist.
It's bad. This show is off the rails, and we're like 15 minutes in.
It's not good.
All right, and so that'll take us to the division roundup. Okay, and so let's talk about the AFC North here. The Bengals are playing as we speak, so we'll add these results in to next week's show. But Baltimore went down to Dallas this weekend and beat the Cowboys. And so I was right. You were both wrong in this game.
Yeah, this one hurt.
Yeah, that one does hurt. Should have called that.
Wait, how's it feel?
It hurt.
Yeah,
Good.
physically.
I like that.
Yeah. Dallas did mount a rally towards the end of that
They
game.
tried.
And they tried to come back, but it was just too little too late.
They weren't. Never mind.
Too little too late, and the Cowboys are who we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were. This doesn't bode well for how bad they beat us, right?
Right.
It's bad. Next up here, Pittsburgh beat the Chargers. Bone, you called this one. You were right, and Kenny and I were both wrong. Bone said their defense would be able to handle the Chargers.
I maintain if Justin Herbert didn't mysteriously come down with a high ankle sprain midweek and then get knocked out of the game on Sunday, that the Chargers would have still won. So.
Yeah, I needed this game to hopefully not be last place, and I texted you guys. I was like, dude, Herbert's out.
Yeah, that was
I wasn't
a bad
rooting
day.
for the Steelers, but I don't want to get punished at the end of the year. So.
Yeah, I had heard leading up to the game that there was a chance he would that he would actually be out due to the injury. The fact that he went, I was optimistic, but he didn't finish the game. So
yeah, I'll just say before we picked the games, he was not listed on the injury report for high ankle sprain. So I feel like we kind of got effed in the A on that one, but
yeah. We're not Chargers fans. We don't know these things.
And I mean, look. Here's the thing: Pittsburgh's now 3-0. I mean,
that's the worst part about that. We'll get to that in just a second. But and then finally, Cleveland with the ugly loss against the Giants. We were all wrong here because we just assumed that this was a game Cleveland should win. But as we talked about on Sunday, there's no such thing as a game that the Cleveland Browns should win. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. The limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist.
Giants are ass, and we lost to them.
They're a giant ass.
Gosh. Sorry, we're not talking about this anymore. I'm going to get fired up again. And so for the AFC North, the standings are as follows. Pittsburgh's on top at 3-0. Cleveland and Baltimore are tied at 1-2. And then Cincinnati yet to finish their game Monday night as 0-2. At the bottom of the division.
We all picked Cincinnati to win this game, did we not?
We did. So potentially a three-way tie here at the bottom of the division.
But
with Pittsburgh just shitting all over everyone.
Well, I was even talking about our standings. I mean, this won't really affect anything other than just one plus.
No. Yeah,
column for us.
Yeah, it'll either be plus one in either column. But so the current King of the North standings are: I am sitting at 4-7 in first place. Good records, guys. Bone, you're at 3-8, and Kenny. Right where you should be at 2-9.
God, I hate you guys so much.
And so with that, let's get into Around the NFL.
Before you get into the rest of the Around the NFL, I'll just have you know that it's not just us that suck at picking games. Last week we said 80% of the CBS brackets were bust and they were survivor pools. over 92% of ESPN's survivor pools are officially kaput.
That's a lot.
In 3 weeks.
It is wild. We talked about it before we started the show, just how crazy things have been. Like you're talking about, I mean, just in our division, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, even Pittsburgh's surprising. But I mean, but the other three teams, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Cincinnati, how just up and down they've been. At points, even though, pending what they do today, Cincinnati hasn't won a game. Like, there's been moments where they look like Cincinnati and they look like a good team. And there's been a lot more moments where they look like ass.
I mean, think of this. You're at the end of week 3, and right now Pittsburgh has more wins than the rest of the division.
Combined.
Like, who had that on their bingo card?
Even if Cincinnati wins, all of our wins equal
Pittsburgh's.
Yeah, nobody would have had that. But yeah, so for Around the NFL here, we've shortened this segment this year. We just take some of the top, like 1 or 2 of the top stories, because we used to spend way too much time going around the NFL.
Yeah.
We're Browns fans. We don't care.
Talk about things that aren't football.
Yeah, that too. And so, real quick here, Andy Dalton came in for Carolina and proceeded to hump the Raiders. 26 of 37 for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interception. He's the only quarterback this season to throw for 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. The Red Rocket is back, baby.
Yes, Red Rocket.
That's what I'm talking about. Red power.
Red power.
Red Rifleman is back in action.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is night and day with Bryce Young and the offense they were running to throwing Andy Dalton in the mix. And
if there was any chance for Bryce Young to get his job back, it's gone now.
The scary thing is since Bryce Young was benched, I've heard there's been like 6 different trade rumors, and one of those is including the Browns.
I don't like that.
They think that like this is a good place for him to restart his career. The Deshaun experiment is a mess.
I don't like that.
Yeah, so I'm not a super big fan of that. They've also talked about with Tua going down, him going to Miami being a good fit. So we'll see what happens. They've said they're not interested in trading him, but look, I mean, at the end of the day, like Dave Canales down there in his first year. I'm sure he doesn't want to go 4-13 as a head coach. Like, he's going to do what makes his team better. So
yeah, if that trade rumor is true, I don't like that. And this just drives home the facts. Like we talked about it in the offseason, one of our offseason episodes, when Pittsburgh got Justin Fields for next to nothing. Like, why didn't the Browns go get Justin Fields for next to nothing?
Right,
because he really fits into that style of play.
I would have taken Russell Wilson for next to nothing. I mean, they're paying him $1 million to be on their roster.
I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that.
But here's the interesting thing about this too is, I think this story in of itself speaks to, I don't know if it's nepotism in the NFL, but it's the pride, I think, of leadership in these administrations. You watched all of Bryce Young last year, and he wasn't good. You had to have watched Bryce Young during all of OTAs, minicamp, training camp, preseason, and go, this guy is not, like, you had to be watching him versus Andy Dalton in every drill, in every team session, and you still were like, well, we got a first-round pick invested in him, so we're going to go with this guy. When your eyes would have to tell you, I mean, look, Andy Dalton looked like Joe Montana out there with the Carolina Panthers.
I said Joe Montana.
Everything they did worked. Like, you had to have seen that, especially for them to make that move that early on in the season. Like, they knew Bryce Young wasn't good.
Yeah.
But, like, how do you without a conscience, not do what's best for your team and do what is best because, you know, your owner or your GM's like, well, we got draft capital here. Like, what happened to just trying to win the game?
I wish they would get back to that, because then you don't have to waste time on, like, there are certain players. I'm not saying everybody. Some people do need to develop, and you need to kind of go on that journey with them and go through some rough times to get there. But usually those people, they show flashes of brilliance and flashes of being a very good player. Like, I mean, at some point, though, like, you should be able to look at him, like you said, and just say, this guy's not very good. We made a mistake, and it's not that big of a deal to admit it. Like, 94% of draft picks don't work out. Like,
he's at least
first-round picks.
He's at least not as good as the backup.
That's high, but it's a lot of first-round draft picks don't work out. It's 87% of statistics are made up on the spot. So.
Yeah, that seems high. There's a lot of first-round draft picks that are starters out there in the league. But It just drives me crazy because you had to know Bryce Young was ass going into this, and to your point, like sometimes you catch fire in a bottle, but like lightning in a bottle. My mind's a pretzel.
That's right. I was a little flustered too. I just saw a commercial with Will Levis balancing on mayonnaise come on, and it disturbed me.
Outside of like Troy Aikman and Peyton Manning, who was the last quarterback that just like went 1 for 15, 0 for 16, whatever, like in their rookie season, and then came out the next year and was a Hall of Fame generational talent? Like, I can't think of a single one. And there's guys that have started the rookie year, been bad, and then moved on to other teams a couple of years later and done well. There's plenty of those guys in the league. But this model of draft a guy first overall, play him, let him suck, let him throw 28 picks or whatever, and then he'll be good next year, just almost never works, ever.
Yeah, not good. Not good. I don't know. But the next thing on our Around the League here, around the NFL, is so the Chiefs. We talked last week about how there was the pass interference call at the end of the game that went their way.
With the Bengals.
The Bengals got called for pass interference. And we said, if you didn't think that was pass interference, you're stupid. We don't know why there's a firestorm.
We were like, the NFL is definitely not in the Chiefs' pocket.
Yeah. Well, fast forward to this week, and the exact same thing happened, but in reverse and in the end zone.
In prime time.
That basically gave the Chiefs the game, if I'm not mistaken, right? So,
yeah, it was like the last 2 plays of the game. Atlanta was throwing the ball from like the 10-yard line or so. I think they were up to the 5, and I think they had like a false start penalty. So I think they were from like the 10 or 11 trying to toss it in. And I mean, this was just clearly interference, and it just went down as a no call.
The one that was a no call was worse than the one that was called.
Yeah. I mean,
it was bad.
Not debatable. Like, it's pass interference all the way, you know.
Yeah, like at least with the Bengals one, the guy's going for the ball, like they're both going up, maybe incidental contact, you can argue. Yeah. And the Chiefs one, he's literally just tackling the guy. He's like, no, you can't have this.
Yeah, there's no head turn there at all. I mean, the thing is, like, the NFL needs to be careful here because, I mean, look, there's already conspiracy theories because of Taylor Swift and the money and the league and Kelsey brothers and all this stuff.
Things are heating up.
And you can't call games consistently. I mean, look, pass interference.
Oh, they call them consistently. They call them consistently for the Chiefs. Yeah.
I mean, pass interference is pass interference. This should be the letter of the law. It's like if you're speeding, you're going 15 over, you get a ticket. Sorry. Yeah. That there is 15 over.
Yeah, NFL.
They're doing 15 over in a school
officials
zone.
In the NFL, you got some splaining to do.
Yeah, that was ugly.
But yeah, so that's it for Around the NFL. And with that, let's get into the Hot 3. I'm just smoking the sky. I'm the gas in the tank. Gonna turn it up. All right, so for today's Hot 3, kid shows.
Kid shows.
We
all got kids.
Yeah, we all got kids.
We all were kids.
But this isn't kid shows like now.
Oh, no. Like, I don't even know what a Cocoa Melon is.
Yeah, no.
That's not. Back like in the golden age.
Yeah, this is like, what are your top 3 kid shows when you were growing up?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. And so today I'm going to start with Kenny.
Ooh.
What do you got?
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my Hot 3... my number 3 show, Rugrats.
Nice, good choice.
Just a great Nickelodeon creation. You get the babies running around talking to each other.
Is Nickelodeon even a thing anymore?
It is, but most of their cable programming is like Zoe 101.
Have you seen how depressing their studios are? I do know like the studios went from like the cool shit that we grew up with, where they slimed everybody. To now it's like the standard corporate, like how all of the fast food restaurants went. Like it's like gray and like white.
Yeah,
cool.
And to be fair, like Nickelodeon has basically been surviving a firestorm of late with a lot of allegations of inappropriate behavior with children from directors and things on set. But the good news is we're not here to talk about that.
No.
We're here to talk about...
Hot 3, so number 3.
Instances where hopefully there weren't any inappropriate relationships because these were cartoons that probably had adult voice actors. So, Rugrats, Tommy Pickles and the gang, just taking on different adventures. Look, I know like
we just talked about the watermelon in the belly.
Yes, true. Like I thought to this day a watermelon would grow in your belly. How could it not? Like I saw that episode of Rugrats.
It doesn't. It's a myth.
Look, a lot of people, there's, there are all kinds of thousands of parenting techniques out there. People that are like zero screen time in this. Look, like, I'll say my screen time, not that like I had absent parents or anything, but like they let me watch TV when I wanted to watch TV after school or whatnot, things like when there was nothing going on. And like the first things that like I learned to read were on the TV. Yeah. Like I'm a very pro advocate of like, some screen time is important for the development of your child because, A, we live in a digital world. Everything that we do is on computer screens and TV screens all day long. So they have to learn to navigate that world. And B, like, I learned lessons about life and society and even folklore. I mean, Rugrats had an episode about the Sam Squatch, It's like I didn't know what a Sasquatch was when I was like 4 or 5 years old, but like I saw
when you got older, you're like, I heard this story.
And then what they call it, Satchmo, I think was the Sasquatch in Rugrats. So it's like I learned very important life lessons and like social.
Reptar is Godzilla.
Like interaction, like mimicking social interaction through watching these shows. So I do think that this stuff is important. But anyways, Rugrats was
you're getting off on a tangent, man. I don't sure.
Well, I'm just saying
I accept.
I think screen time is, I think parents overdo it with the we can't have any screen time. It's just my perspective because I learned to read and I learned to mimic like acceptable social behaviors from watching some of these shows that when you go back and watch them,
this explains a lot. You learned all your socially acceptable behaviors from Rugrats.
Yeah, as a child. And like if you go back and watch these now, like a lot of these episodes had some kind of like life lesson in them.
My favorite part about specifically Rugrats and a lot of these other ones that were geared towards like younger kids is the adult humor that you get now that you didn't get back then.
Yeah, and Rugrats was subtle with a lot of theirs.
Well, a little bit, but the one family was like swingers, and they would make jokes about it, and you didn't know what they were talking about.
But the thing about Rugrats too is like Rugrats stands the test of time. Like I watched Rugrats probably from the time I was 5 until the time I was like 12, probably like getting off the bus from school. Mm-hmm. Like I still would like watch it and enjoy the episodes, even though I was much older than their targeted audience. So, anyways, number 3 for me is Rugrats. Number 2, Doug.
I forgot about Doug.
Wait. Greatest theme song of all cartoons.
Nice.
Yeah, great theme song.
Killer tofu.
All the things that I said about Rugrats and like children's TV, like Doug was almost like the growing up version of this, right? Yeah. Like you learned what to expect in high school. You learned about bullies. You learned about feeling insecure about your body and your first crush and like all these things. Like these were lessons inside of a TV show made for kids that like if I, again, had zero screen time, I would have walked into middle school and high school and been like, this is all brand new. And I would have been an idiot.
Wow. Didn't stop that part of it, but
Patty Mayonnaise was a smoke show.
Yeah. That Patty Mayonnaise.
That's right, Patty Mayonnaise and Will Levis. Match made in heaven. So Doug, number 2, Doug. Plus all just the superheroes that Doug played, like so much fun. Quail Man,
Jack Bandit,
Durango, Jack Bandit, just rife with just like fun things.
Love it.
That stay in my mind forever.
Love it.
And then number 1, I'll go, and this is the one that for me pushed the line of like a suitable humor for both kids and adults. And like the older I got, the more I appreciated like, oh, that's kind of edgy. Mm-hmm. Is Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh, yeah. Another one I forgot about, man.
Just like, it was funny as a kid because it was a stupid wallaby and a stupid turtle and a stupid cow. But like, as you get older and you realize like some of the names of people and like what they actually mean and just so many classic episodes of Rocco's Modern
Another
Life.
Show that featured swingers.
Yeah, I mean, there was a whole lot of weird shit that went on in that show, like when you watch it as an adult, but you also felt like it was suitable for kids. And I just feel like I feel like the general theme of these TV shows is just absolutely missing from today's culture.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have to show my son reruns of these shows, which thankfully I can stream them now. Yeah. But like, I just feel like there's nothing like that today because everything is so commercialized and PC and woke and Zoe 101 like live action stuff and there's a time and a place for that sort of thing. But like I'm telling you, like these helped shape like my mindset and like help mature my mind as a young child to read and interact with others. And I think there was lessons in all three of those from, as you get older and then start to, again, appreciate some of like the subtle, like adult jabs that are in some of the like Rocco's Modern Life episodes. So those are my top three, hot three.
All right, Bone, what do you got for your hot three?
All right, so I have like 6 shows written down right here, so I'm gonna throw them out there. Well, not all 6, but
yeah, you only get 3.
I only got 3, so I'm going to leave out Rugrats. That was one of my favorite shows growing up. I used to watch with Mr. Kenny Thunder all the time.
Anything that doesn't make it, remember, after we're done, we could do some honorable mentions.
I just have to give it an honorable mention because it was such a great show. Yeah. But I'm gonna put Hey Arnold at my number 3.
Hell yes.
Because Football Head was a great show. So many cool monikers and just Stoop Kid and
Stoop
all
Kid's
the characters.
Stoop.
You have to, I had to say Stoop Kid. That was a must. So Hey Arnold was just a fantastic show.
Another interesting, about Hey Arnold was one of the few cartoons at the time that like had Gerald. Like had a racial, like a interracial, like friends. There was a lot of
Gerald's girlfriend.
Yeah, there was a lot of very white cartoons at the time.
Yeah,
you know what I learned from Gerald and Hey Arnold was how to wrap a sleeping bag like super tight. That was like a whole episode of him,
you learn things
like rolling up a sleeping bag, and I like made it my mission to be able to.
Kenny was just talking about this. You learn things
watching that show.
That's right. Yeah.
But okay, so number 2, I'm going to go with Doug as well. I had to have it in my list. It used to be a ringtone for about 4 or 5 years. I had the Doug Funny, opening as my ringtone.
I can see that.
I just love Doug.
I just go back and watch those today. They're still good.
Just fantastic. But I'm going to go live action for my number 1 because I've always been a very big Shia LaBeouf fan. So I'm going Even Stevens.
Ooh, classic.
Fantastic show. Just hilarious. I think I would still laugh at it. I haven't watched in a long time, but like his neighbor Beans and just his interaction with Beans and just his sister. And she was pretty good looking when I was a young lad.
She grew up to be very good looking.
And the show was just hilarious for a Disney Channel show.
Yeah. Launched the career.
And I'm still a big fan.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, huge fan of Shia LaBeouf. Just his whole life story is fascinating, and then just his kind of fall from grace and him coming back.
You watch a lot of his stuff now?
Yeah.
He's very humbled by everything that happened. It's incredible to listen to.
You listen to his stuff on podcast shows and stuff and just talking about.
He's really well spoken and understands like just the mistakes he's made and kind of, to your point, the fall from grace and the redemption that comes along with it.
His story is fascinating, and he was in some great content back in the day. So
Oh yeah, I even love like his versions of the Transformers. Like they were great. They were well done. I mean, they're Bay movies, so there's lots of explosions and shit.
Boom!
But I thought Shia held up in those.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, so those are 2 good lists. I'm gonna start mine off here. My number 3. Rocket Power.
Oh yeah.
I remember this wasn't like around the whole time we were kids. It came around kind of a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I just remember when it came out, like it was an instant hit. Everybody watched Rocket Power. Just watching that whole group interact, and you think back to your group of friends, and everybody's friend group had a squid. Like, so
we definitely had a squid.
Yeah, we had a squid. Yeah, wiggity. So I mean, that was just awesome, and it was like the life I wanted to live as a kid. Like I want to just be out there on the beach, just extreme sports, doing whatever the hell I wanted all the time.
Just bashing shoobies.
Yeah. Exactly. And now I go to the beach and I am a shoebie.
Yeah, we are shoobies.
Yeah. I mean, it really came about too, like when like the X Games and stuff started. Like
we're real big,
really mainstream. So
Shaun White.
Like as a kid, you were like you wanted to go like extreme mountain biking and skateboarding and luging and like all the crazy stuff.
Spoiler alert: I never got involved in any of those.
No, but in your mind, you were like, wouldn't that be so cool? Like, I wish I had a half pipe in the backyard.
Yeah, I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't. I'd have a lot more broken bones. And then number 2 for me was Rugrats. Just a fantastic show for all the reasons that you said, Kenny. There's just so many moments that I remember from that show. I got diaper rash up to my knees. So like, just so many different things. I can't think of a single like bad memory from like where I'm like, that episode is terrible. Like it just every time I turn on Rugrats, I was glued to the TV.
Also had an underrated theme song. It almost sounded like Doug, but
wait, I think we did.
Is that Doug?
I think we just sang Doug.
Morphing into Doug.
Yeah,
but it's just
Yeah.
Maybe we don't know it.
I don't think we know it. I think that was duck, guys.
We just started going into duck.
They were similar though. Now that you mention it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and then my number one, it actually is more so because of school than anything else, is Magic School Bus.
Great show.
And the reason why it's my number one, we actually didn't watch it that much at the house, but anytime the cart rolled out at school with the big TV, you're like, hell yes, we get a free day in this class today. We're watching Magic School Bus. And so it just... the joy that comes with thinking about Magic School Bus in general.
Just brings you back to a good place.
Yeah, like you had no worries. Like you were in school, you were just... frustrated because the day dragged on.
Next half hour, I got nothing to do.
Whatever it was, 6 hours of school felt like an eternity. 6 hours now feels like it's nothing. And so to break that day up with Magic School Bus was always a treat. So
there were some pretty crazy adventures.
The crazy thing about Magic School Bus too was that lasted through like high school. Like they would roll it out and put on Magic School Bus in high school, and you're like, yeah, this is a good day.
It's funny because like so much of the world has changed so drastically, and we haven't been out of school that long. No. I mean, I guess it's been longer now than I even think, but
we're getting old.
It's like
we're coming up on 20 years. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's true. So I guess we have been out of school a while, but
we're like right at that cusp where like it's about to turn over, and we've been out of high school longer than we were in school.
It's just amazing that like we were like turning into like 18-year-old kids, and they were like, here's Magic School Bus, like here's Bill Nye this time. That we were like,
Bill Nye's another one, but yeah, so Magic School Bus number one for me. I'm embarrassed to say that I completely forgot about Doug. My honorable mention would have been Hey Arnold was right behind on there, and you mentioned Rocco's Modern Life was another one that was way up there for me. So Bone, what are your honorable mentions?
One that we haven't said was Recess.
Yes,
Big fan of
Recess was a good one.
Yeah. Mikey and I can't remember. Gretchen.
Who else was there? I don't even know. That was a great show, though.
Yeah. To me, Recess was like a Hey Arnold knockoff.
Sure.
Yeah, fair.
I always felt like it was the generic version of Hey Arnold. I don't need that crap in my life.
They weren't in the streets.
I know how you feel about generic foods, so I can only imagine how you feel about generic Hey Arnold.
I only want the
brand name.
Premium label brand name.
Yeah.
My other honorable mentions were already mentioned by you fine folks.
My final honorable mention would have been Ren and Stimpy, and that was another one that pushed the envelope.
That did more than push the envelope. Ren and Stimpy was an adult cartoon that paraded around as a kid's show.
Yeah. And I'll throw one more on mention, and this was probably more a little bit like as you get older as a child, but Boy Meets World.
Oh yeah,
was one of the you looked forward to the episode.
We just rewatched that like a year ago, like in its entirety, and it's still it holds up. I mean, it is odd though when you go back and watch these things how short an episode is.
Yeah,
like when you're young and you're watching that, and it's just the concept of time in general, which we get in a whole thing. I'm not going to get too far into it, but how short. Or how long those episodes felt when you were young and how short they feel now is just incredible to like even think about.
Well, like the whole runtime, like without commercials, is like sometimes 19 minutes.
Yeah,
and you're like, wow, I watched a lot of commercials as a kid.
Yeah, and even if you watched it on like a Hulu or something like that with ads, and you're like, that's it. That was it. There wasn't a lot of substance there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, just crazy. But that'll do it for the hot three. Kenny, you know what it's time for? I'll tell you. It's time for another interview. Something we started last year. We're going to continue to do it this year. We're going to continue to do it for as long as we're doing the show. Is our Browns backers interview series, and so we just want to highlight these people. Big Browns fans from around the world. They also do a ton of great work in their respective communities. And so, with that, let's go ahead and get into the next interview in the series.
Powered by Riverside FM.
All right, so for this Browns backers interview, please help me welcome straight from Sin City, the president of the Vegas Dog Pound, Deb Moyers.
Thanks for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. How are you?
I am doing fine. It's been a little hectic out here. Our local chapter lost our viewing location at the end of July. And so we had to find a new location. And then we are planning a party this year for the Raiders game this coming Saturday. And we ended up losing that location for the party towards the end of August. So it's been really stressful out here in Vegas.
So you've been busy.
Very busy.
Well, I know that, and I'm, I have a little bit more information than the average viewer. I know that you guys have over 300 people going to this party. So yes. What happened? The original location for that, they just didn't want 300 people. They didn't want all that business.
Well, unfortunately, they're in a strip mall, and right next to them, the parking lot had been fenced off because they're building a gas station. And the owners of the venue thought the gas station would be built in 2 months. I knew that it wouldn't because I live here in Vegas. I deal with construction every day. But when it wasn't built, then he came back and said that they didn't feel comfortable having us. So then we had to try and find another venue.
Gotcha. Well, that's unfortunate because, again, I know it's a big crowd coming in. Not only you guys locally have a lot of people there watching, and actually, why don't you tell us about your chapter? I mean, when were you established? How many members do you have? And what is your typical viewing location? I know you said you had to find a new one. So
yeah. We established our club in 2004. I have been part of the board since then, so it's been 20 years. I think I've been president for about the last 6 or 7. We had our first viewing location. We started watching there in 1999, became an official club in 2004. We were there right until COVID. And once COVID hit and they opened the bars back up, we were basically asked by the owners of our first viewing location that they didn't want us to come back. So we had to find a new place. So we found one. We'd like to be not too far from the strip because we get a lot of visitors come in every week. So we found one actually a little bit closer to the strip. It used to be a TGIF restaurant. So it was big, it was open, high ceilings, good capacity for our crowd. And we were there for 3 years. And then they just closed their doors the end of January. So we had to find a new viewing location, which we did. And we're at a new bar now. We get probably, I think on average, about between 90 and 110 people per game to come in and watch. We are the place the visitors come to watch the games. Every visitor who's been in, I would say at least half of them join our club, and they get a free t-shirt, which we redesign every year. And then we have raffle prizes for members only, and they get raffle tickets. So I think our actual members on the official club site is about 175. Typically, in a season, we sign up over 700 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I will say I have a great board. I have a board of 5 other people that this could not be done without them.
Yeah. Do you guys, so when these 700 or so people are signing up, something we learned earlier this season, it may be useful when you get these people to sign up with you is, one, it's free to join on the Browns Backers Worldwide website.
Yes.
And 2, you could actually join as many different locations as you want. So, it may be something to run past all these people that are signing up with you.
I did not know that. I thought you could only sign up for one club.
No, but as a matter of fact, we do these interviews every week. We interview a different Browns Backers organization every week. Mm-hmm. And every time we interview one, we actually join their group. So cool. Between us two and our board man, Bone, so you get 3 members every time we do an interview with one of you guys. So awesome. Just something to keep in mind. I know not a lot of people know that, apparently. We just learned earlier this season. As many as you want. So
that's good to know.
What is your new viewing location? I don't know. I don't think I caught the name of it.
It's PT's Gold, and it's located just a couple miles off of the strip. On, let me get this right, Spring Mountain and Arville. So
nice.
It's easy for visitors to get to. It's kind of centrally located for our locals, that was our desire, to have something that was convenient for everybody and centrally located. And the capacity capacity for this bar is 300.
Nice. So the Sphere wasn't available?
I wish. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
It feels like it'd be
just cool put the game on the whole inside. Yeah.
Although sometimes I don't know if we want it that big.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, things could get rowdy, I think.
Yeah.
No, so you got your viewing location. You got plenty of members. You guys have been around for a while. I know one of the big parts of Browns Baggers organizations, the different chapters that are all over the country and all over the world, is community service and kind of helping out with local charities, as well as the Cleveland Browns Foundation. So can you tell us what kind of community service or charity work you guys are doing?
Well, for us, it's mostly donating to a charity. We choose a new charity every year. It has to be local. It has to be something that's not well known and advertised in the city. So every year we pick a new one. The board gets together, we come up with ideas, and then we all vote for one that we want to have. So our charity this year is Mentoring Mindsets, and they deal with helping students K through 12 in low income and underserved communities with their literacy. And we have a lot of people here who English is their second language. So this helps a lot of students whose parents may not even speak English. And that's the charity
awesome.
that we chose.
Yeah, fantastic cause to get involved with and help with. I really like the idea of you guys going out and finding lesser known charities.
That's what I was just going to say, was that you have that kind of criteria. Not that all charities don't deserve attention, but to find those ones that are maybe less mainstream to make sure you're helping out even the smaller ones.
We have a lot of really great charities here, but they're well known in the Valley. So they have events and they have galas and they have large donors. And we wanted to find somebody that would appreciate a few $1,000s. And that it would help them and go a long way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
No, so now we have your viewing location that you're involved with. We got all the members that you can find. You're doing this community service. You're helping out with this charity. Do you have any upcoming events that are going to kind of help, kind of bring all that together into one?
Well, actually, we have an event coming up this Saturday. We've got hundreds of Browns fans descending on Las Vegas for the Browns-Raiders game on Sunday. It is the first time that the Browns are playing in Las Vegas because the Raiders are relatively newer to Las Vegas. So we've got a bunch of people coming in. We are planning a party at Flanker inside Mandalay Bay, which is right next to the stadium. And we're going to have this party from 5 to 8. We're going to have charity raffles. We're going to sell T-shirts. We have T-shirts made of a dog eating the stadium. So we made those T-shirts for the game, and then we're also going to have Phil Taylor there as an alumni signing autographs and taking a few pictures. Chomps will be there, so it should be a lot of fun.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and I know a lot of Browns fans here locally because we're in Ohio, and a lot of people that I've talked to had this one circled for a long time for the exact reason that you said. It's the first time the Browns are going to Vegas, and people were like, I'm gonna use that as an excuse to go out there and do things that you do in Vegas. So,
who doesn't want to come to Vegas?
Right.
That's right. Have you yourself had a chance to go to a Las Vegas Raiders game just to see the stadium at all yet, or is this your first time over there?
This will be my first time for a game. I did go a couple years ago when we had the Pro Bowl here, and we all know how interesting the Pro Bowl can be. But it was the only time that I could afford tickets to the stadium.
Oh man, it's one of those stadiums.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I don't have, $250 for a ticket every week.
Sure,
Not that I would go and cheer on the Raiders.
True,
That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So I am.
I'm curious. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I am going this weekend, on Sunday to the game. I was given tickets by somebody very, very special. So I've got great seats and cannot wait to go.
Nice.
You have to fill us in later. Let us know how the actual game goes and what the experience is like in the stadium. Because I've heard really good things about that stadium. So.
Yeah. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm curious just in general. I mean, I think this has been a little bit of an experiment with like bringing a pro sports team to Vegas. Does it feel like the city is truly embraced having the Raiders there? Like, does it feel like there's diehard Raider fans, or is it more like transient fans that are coming in from other fan bases to see like who's playing the Raiders? Like, I just trying to get a feel for like what the city is like in terms of the team there.
Well, most of the people who live here, if they're interested in football, they probably already had their favorite team because a lot of the people come from somewhere else. For us that live here, we do have Raiders fans because it is the home team for Las Vegas. We get a lot of visitors, though, that come in for the games. We don't necessarily have a lot of the average people cannot afford to go to the games.
Sure.
They've kind of outsourced the pricing for us. And so people have bought the season tickets and they sell their tickets to people who are coming in to visit. So there are a lot of times for these games when the opposing team will have more fans than actually the Raiders.
Wow.
And I'm hoping that's the Browns.
Imagine living in a world like that.
No.
Like with growing up a Browns fan and seeing Cleveland Browns Stadium, even when there's, where they're playing terribly, it's the middle of the winter, all of those things. Like, I can't even imagine not, the stadium being more away fans than home fans. I don't even know what that means, but
I've only seen it on TV so far.
Speaking of just Vegas in general, so are you a native resident of Las Vegas, or have you moved out there yourself?
I actually grew up in Middleburg Heights, Ohio.
Oh wow!
And
nice.
I moved out here in 1996. I followed a couple friends who don't live here anymore. But I moved out here, and honestly, the weather you can't beat. If you want snow, you can go up in the mountains and then come back down to the valley.
Yeah.
Now it has gotten a little hotter lately. We set some major records this past summer. We hit 120 one day, which is the hottest it's ever been in Las Vegas.
Oh,
and we probably had 10 days where it was 114 or above in a row.
Wow.
But honestly, it's like Vegas has been home for almost 30 years now.
Yeah. So how did you become a Browns fan? Were you a Browns fan? I mean, I know you grew up in Middleburg Heights, but like, were you born into it? Like, did you always live in Ohio, or was it something that you came about later in life?
No, I was born and raised in Ohio. I was born in East Cleveland and then grew up in Middleburg Heights, which is on the west side of Cleveland. My father was not a sports fan. He worked 3 jobs when I was growing up, so he didn't really have time for it. And I fell in with some friends who would watch all the games, and we started watching the games together, and we would take turns at everybody's house, and that person would serve like hors d'oeuvres and everybody else would bring drinks. And it was just, that's how I became a Browns fan. And it was probably like around 1980. So I very much remember the Cardiac Kids.
Nice.
So you were already partaking in Browns backers like activities before you were part of the Browns backers.
Yeah.
Throwing mini Browns backers parties.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, I mean, that brings us to the football team. Obviously, the reason we're all here. It was ugly this last week. I mean, do you have thoughts on last week's game against the Giants?
It was horrible to watch. And I mean, I don't know how many times I swore during that game. Honestly, it was really difficult to watch. There were a few highlights, and I will say when the game started and our first play was a touchdown, I just expected so much that, for the rest of the game, and was highly disappointed.
They were the biggest mistake of your life.
Our Browns fans. I was going to say, Deb,
I have a toddler at home, and you were talking about swearing and how many times you swore, and my wife had to smack me because she was like, "Hey." She's going to repeat everything you say. You got to calm down over there.
Yes, you will.
So it was bad.
It was. The only thing that might be good about this coming week's football game is that the Raiders look just as bad as the Browns did. So
that's yes.
The TV sportscasters out here are really disappointed with them. The head coach is really disappointed with them. And
we saw his comments. Those were good.
Yeah. So right now it's like I'm crossing my fingers that out of two bad teams, maybe we can pull it off.
I like that.
I hope you're right. Which I mean, that's a perfect segue. What are your thoughts for this game, other than there being two bad teams playing here? And who do you think is going to win? And what do you think the score is going to be?
Oh gosh, I gave up on predicting who would win years ago.
You can't do that here. You're on with the Burning River Sportscast, and we're going to pin you to this. You have to give us a prediction. So,
but let me tell you why I gave up on it. The year that we only won one game, the next year everybody asked, Deb, what do you think? And I said, we'll win more games than last year, and we went 0-16.
Well,
so now you kind of know. So that's why I don't normally. But I'm going to put the Browns up by 3. I'm going to be really, 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 really hopeful and say 24-21.
Nice. I like that. I like that. That's right there. That's right around the. I think you get the over on that. But
yeah, I'm optimistic.
No, we appreciate that, and I think a lot of Browns fans try to stay optimistic. Give it a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple more weeks. But no, listen, Deb, it's been fantastic having you on. We really appreciate it. This has been a fun conversation. I wish we could keep talking to you. This always happens with our Browns backers interviews is we start to get into some good conversations. We want to keep it going.
Go all night.
But we don't like our show to be 3 hours long. So, So I really appreciate having you on here. Thank you for your insights as to what you guys are doing out there in Vegas and all the upcoming events you have, the big parties planned for this weekend and everything. Just thank you so much, and you're welcome anytime on the Burning River Sportscast.
It has been my pleasure, and if you guys ever come out to Vegas, look us up.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, take care. We're the Vegas Dog Pound, and you're listening to Burning River Sportscast. Go Browns!
Man, good time talking with Deb, huh?
Yeah, I mean, sounds like they've had a busy off season.
A lot of stuff going on with them.
I think it's funny. We obviously talk to these folks every week because A, the insight they have as fans, and B, we know that they're involved in things outside of football to better their communities. I think what was interesting,
we're so much more than Browns fans.
What was interesting talking to Deb was also understanding from an organization administrative standpoint the work that these small groups do to put on these events each year and keep these groups together. And
we're talking about their events this weekend. 300 plus people to an event is a massive undertaking.
Well, yeah, and to lose your venue a couple months out, weeks out, man, I mean, to have to scramble and figure that out. I mean, thankfully, Vegas is a big place. I feel
used to big crowds.
I feel like it would be much harder for someone here to do it. Thankfully, Vegas probably has a bunch of options, but still a ton of work to put.
What a recovery though, Mandalay Bay, huh?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. It's not the Sphere, but they did all right. Mandalay is one of the nicer places, and obviously proximity to the stadium I think was probably important for them, and so if guests are coming in, they can plan to stay there, that sort of thing. And Mandalay's got one of the best pools in the Strip, so they got the whole beach thing going on.
So let's go ahead and take a quick revenue break and then get back here and talk about the Week 4 matchup with the Raiders. Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, an award-winning craft distillery located in Akron, Ohio. Towpath Distillery focuses on high-quality spirits carefully made in small batches. Towpath's lineup includes an ultra-smooth, award-winning premium vodka, a small batch silver rum made from the highest-grade molasses, an American craft gin made with 9 botanicals, and a blended straight bourbon made from corn and rye. Towpath Distillery, now available locally and in 46 states. Visit towpath-distillery.com to place your order online or find an OHLQ retailer near you. Towpath Distillery, handcrafted, award-winning, small batch, local, and family-owned. All right, and so we got an event coming up here. You guys know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and so the Burning River Sportscast is going to help the Dog Pound take over New Orleans. But before we get there, this weekend, our sponsor, True Fan Travel, has a trip coming up this weekend to Las Vegas. So I just want to say it's going to be a great time. If you got tickets to that, you're going to have it's going to be insane. The names we got here: Joe Hayden, Josh Cribbs, Bridget Linton, all-inclusive tailgate party at Daylight Beach Club, and then the Dog Pound takes over Allegiant Stadium. This thing is sold out, so you can't get tickets for it now. But for the people that are going, definitely let us know how it goes because we're super jealous that we weren't able to go to this one.
Sounds like it's going to be an awesome time. Obviously, we talked to Deb. We know they're going to have a huge presence there. Sounds like just in general, like...
If you're able to make it to both parties.
Yeah, it sounds like in general, like there will probably be a lot of Browns fans there. According to Deb, like there's not yet like this full-on hardcore diehard contingent of Raiders fans that maybe exists in Las Vegas because it's just so new. So I would think that like this parking lot,
they're all back in Oakland,
filled with Browns fans, which is going to be awesome.
They're all back in Oakland.
All back in Oakland with the A's. Now they're gone too.
Yeah, they'll be rejoining. Yeah. But yeah,
even Bones' brother was out near Oakland. He's back home.
See?
Mm-hmm. He was like, it's good to see green.
Nobody likes Oakland. Green. But no, like I said, we're going to help True Fan Travel take over New Orleans. That event includes an optional round trip, private charter flight, 3-night stay at Renaissance New Orleans, Père Marquette French Quarter, a welcome party, which is an all-inclusive cruise down the Mississippi River with the Dog Pound, Q&A, an autograph session with Kevin Mack, pep rally the day before, all-inclusive tailgate the day of, tickets to the game at the Superdome, which happens to be the site of the Super Bowl this year, and on-site trip coordinators to handle any questions or issues that may arise. So this is going to be a great party. I'm excited for it. Lots of New Orleans food, lots of Cajun food. We're going to party, guys.
Just a chance to take in the culture down there too.
Oh yeah,
there's just so much cool shit about New Orleans. Yeah. Like I'm just looking forward to just vegging out in that city and just having a good time. Yeah,
so if you haven't got tickets to that, you can. The link for that will be in our show notes. So definitely check it out. And if you can't make it to that event, they also are going to Washington, D.C. and Denver this year.
And I'll say this too, just in general terms of like these events, these all-inclusive trips with True Fan, it's not like you're hopping on a plane, going to the tailgate and going to the game and flying right back home. Like this is an experience. You're there for a couple of days. They've got events for the day before, night before,
but not too many events to where like you don't have your days to yourself and stuff like that.
Like we're planning on being in New Orleans for like 3-4 days. Like this is going to be a nice little getaway, nice little trip. It's not like you're just flying down to the game, seeing the game and flying home. It's not like this quick turnaround where you're turn and burn. Like this is a chance to really take in a new city, a new place, and just have a good time.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it. And speaking of True Fan Travel, it's time for the Week 4 preview brought to you by True Fan Travel. All right, so this week we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Kenny, you know what it's time for?
Is it time for Kenny's Cliff Notes?
It's time for Kenny's Cliff Notes.
Excellent. All right, Raiders Cliffs Notes. We have
Cliffs Notes, multiple.
Cliffs Notes.
Multiple Cliffs Notes.
Antonio Pierce, head coach Antonio Pierce is 6-6 as the Raiders front man. He is the guy the players wanted. They kind of basically mutinied against ownership. We're like, we want this guy. And so far, the team has been slow to show progress. Of note, a couple interesting folks on their staff. One of the few teams that does have an assistant head coach on staff in Marvin Lewis, the ex-Bengals head coach. Luke Getsy is their offensive coordinator, who did go to the University of Akron.
Nice.
And then was offensive coach in Green Bay and Chicago. And former head coach, most recently at Ohio State, is like a special assistant, was Joe Philbin. This guy's been around the NFL for a long time. And the guy with the hair, Rob Ryan, is a defensive assistant to DC Patrick Graham. So I just thought it was interesting looking through their coaching staff to look at all the talent that is there surrounding a young guy like Antonio Pierce that they were able to bring in and surround him.
It takes a village.
It takes a village. That being said, the Raiders have won 4 straight against the Browns dating back to 2015.
Great.
We have not beat the Raiders since 2014.
Awesome.
The good news is,
I don't like that.
Coming into this game, the Raiders ranked 27th in offense and 28th on defense, which feels like opportunity. At least it should in normal circumstances.
Yeah.
Led by a journeyman quarterback, Gardner Minshew, which we learned today may be on the hot seat, as Antonio Pierce did come out and say he's basically not made up his mind yet on whether Gardner Minshew.
Oh, is he part of the business decisions?
It looks like it, because he was pulled at the end of, I want to say, late third quarter of Sunday's game after he threw a pick. And Aiden O'Connell came in and went like 9-12 for 80 yards and a touchdown and kind of garbage time there.
Guys, it's Aiden O'Connell. Don't be stupid.
So either way, those are the only 2 quarterbacks on their roster. So we're going to see one of them. We don't necessarily know which one yet. He said he's going to take his time this week, talk to the team, talk to the coaching staff, whatever. They'll make a decision. But my guess is, like, from an experience standpoint, I mean, look, Gardner Minshew basically took the Colts to the playoffs last year. Like, we all remember Minshew Mania when he first came out. He's been the victim of kind of bad circumstances where they've had young quarterbacks waiting in the wings. This dude has some talent. So whether or not Las Vegas is the fit for him, I guess, is yet to be seen. But I would be more scared of Gardner Minshew than Aiden O'Connell at this point.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
I think everybody would. Anybody with a brain would be more scared of Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they went to Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah. Please do.
But again, he did play well in garbage time.
Please do.
Rushing attack led by Zamir White and Alexander Madison.
I got you.
I got spell checked there by my note.
Whose last name is Pattison?
The guy that led the army. It's Patton. Anyway, they lead the last ranked rushing attack in the NFL.
49 yards per game. I know that one.
Yeah, they are basically not running the ball at all. But that being said, they do have playmakers at wide receiver in Devontae Adams, who's a perennial 1,000-yard machine. Jacoby Myers, the expatriate, who went for 800 yards and 8 touchdowns a year ago. And the wild card newcomer they're expecting big things from this year is Brock Bowers, the tight end, who has already shown decent productivity but is yet to score a touchdown. That defense is anchored by Max Crosby. A dude is an absolute beast, because anytime your name is Max and you spell your name with 2 X's, like...
Yep.
Should have spelled it with 3.
You got to be careful.
You got to be more provocative.
And then 2019 first-round pick Christian Wilkins on that line make up a pretty solid front. Honestly, though, if you click through the rest of their defense, it's a bunch of, like, role players from other teams that they've kind of acquired, some late-round draft picks. They do have... Eichmann from Ohio State, I think, was drafted in the 4th round this year, but I think he's even playing backup right now. And they do have a solid kicker in Daniel Carlson and a capable kick returner in the former Lion, Amir Abdullah.
And so, those are Kenny's Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes.
Those were some good Kenny's Cliff Notes this week.
I do my best, boys.
Yeah.
I watched the game without the commercial, but the condensed version of the game.
There you go.
Just to bring you that.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And not to be outdone, it's time for Ronnie Jam's matchups that matter.
Nice. We're really getting our branding down.
Yeah. Guys, this game's going to be all about the trenches. Trenches.
Trench bowl.
Yeah, the trench bowl. It's going to be all about the trenches. That's where, I mean, it's two really bad teams playing each other. Let's be honest. And so my first matchup that matters is the Browns O-line versus the Raiders D-line. This has to be number one in the matchups that matter, obviously, because our entire offensive line is decimated. Like, I don't even know who they're going to play at this point. Like, I have no idea.
Anyone's guess.
So, we're going to have to see if we're able to step up and provide the running backs with some lanes, the QB with some time to throw. Deshaun does hold the ball longer than anybody in the NFL, so there's that. That's not helping them out at all. Our running backs have no vision. That's also not helping out the offensive line. So, I guess the only bright side of this whole thing is the Raiders are giving up 350 total yards per game. 163 of those are rush yards per game, which is like damn near the bottom.
Can we just take a real quick pause right there?
Sure, yeah.
So the Raiders are giving up 163 rush yards.
The same number that the Giants were giving up.
And in the two games they lost, they gave up 150 yards or more rushing.
Yeah.
Run the damn ball, Kevin. Like, that's if you want the secret to this week, it's not having
20 plus rushes.
It's not
20
having,
plus.
It's not having Deshaun. Do you know how many passing attempts Deshaun Watson has right now on a season?
Probably a lot.
116. Do you know who has more than him?
Who?
Nobody?
Caleb Williams at 118 and Dak Prescott at 120. He's got the third most attempts in the entire league. Run the damn football.
He's got the third most attempts in the entire league, and we've got like the second to worst passing attack.
If you look at yards by, it's embarrassing. He is like dead last in the league for starters. He's thrown for 551 yards. That's behind Will Levis at 94 attempts. That's behind Anthony Richardson at 73 attempts.
Damn.
Behind Anthony. Just say that one again.
Behind Anthony Richardson. Behind Derek Carr at 64 attempts. Behind Bo Nix. Behind Daniel Jones. This is an unmitigated disaster at quarterback. And look, here's the other thing. The O-line's been catching a lot of crap. But if you look at time to throw, I was looking at next gen.
That's what I was just saying. He holds the ball longer than anybody.
Time to throw, he has the ninth best time. So top 10. Imagine if Deshaun Watson had the bottom 10 time to throw. This is what we're getting with a guy that is his top 10 in time to throw.
Oh, you just shit all over my thing about him holding the ball, but
sorry. I'm just saying he is holding the. I'm saying he is holding the ball. I'm saying the offensive line is getting shit on, and rightfully so, because we can't run the ball, and Deshaun has been getting sacked a lot. But I think we're way too quick to just be like, well, Deshaun's getting hit at the top of his drop back. He's not. He's got the ninth best time to throw in the league, and he's got the most attempts and the least amount of yards. This guy sucks ass. Run the damn ball.
Run it. 20 plus is what we want to see. Now, I guess the other side of this, though, I said offensive line versus the Raiders defensive line. They do have Max Crosby, who is a premier talent. Very premier talent. So I think he might feast on us by himself.
And he looks scary.
Yeah, he's very scary.
Yes.
But overall, they aren't very good. But then again, the Browns aren't very good. So here's what I'll say. If they look bad, if the offensive line looks bad again in this, which they probably will, it's just all the things that we've been saying since the Giants game just continue to get worse and worse. There was rumblings of how bad the offensive line was before the Giants game. Now they're loud roars, and it's just gonna I don't know what's going to happen. We're just not going to have an offensive line anymore is what's going to happen. So I don't know. But next matchup that matters, the Browns front seven versus the Raiders offensive line. The Browns rank in the top half of the league in terms of rush yards per game. They're only giving up 100 this is on offense. Apologize. This is on defense. The Browns are only giving up 114 rush yards per game. And the Raiders rank dead last in rushing yards per game on offense at 49, like you talked about.
Whoa.
And so the fact that the Browns are in the top half of the league, the Raiders are dead last, it should make for a good day for the Browns front seven. And for them to have any chance, this is what they have to do, right? They have to dominate against the run, and they need to make Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell or whatever the hell his name is.
Antonio Pierce.
They need to make the quarterback beat them because not that they've played all that particularly well so far, but I have some faith in our defensive backs to be able to get the job done if you're going to tell me that one of those two guys has to beat us.
Yeah, I think the wild card there is not knowing what's going on with Myles Garrett's feet.
Both feet
because that could be because even with Myles Garrett rushing the quarterback this year, this defense has felt like it has not been able to get home. And so if we take Myles Garrett out of the equation potentially this week, maybe this could be in a really, really interesting matchup to see what the rest of those guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, in summary here, the Raiders, they're 1-2 coming off a beatdown handed to them by the lowly Carolina Panthers. Their rush attack is awful. Their defense is below average. And then you got the Browns, who are 1-2 coming off an equally disappointing loss to Danny Dimes and the Giants. This is one of the worst feeling losses that I can remember. And the Cowboys game was a couple weeks ago. They've played poorly literally in every facet of the game, and that also extends to coaching. So you just don't know what you're going to get week to week from the Browns. So I can't sit here and say this is a game that the Browns should win because there's no such thing as a game the Browns should win. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. The limit does not exist.
But with that, before we get into our picks for the week, Kenny, you got some betting info for us?
Betting info, yes. Quickly, the line for this week actually has the Browns as the favorites.
Wow.
Minus 1.5. And the over-under for this week's game is 37.5. So another low-scoring affair.
Yeah,
potentially in order.
We'll get to that in our scores. We'll get to whether we're taking the over/under.
Yes, I did read one betting line that was interestingly funny. Was that one analyst said first team to 13 wins. So,
I mean, you're not wrong.
That's what we had to look forward to.
You're not
friends.
wrong. We actually talked about it. I said if the Raiders get out of the teens, there's no chance for the Browns.
No, we don't score more than 16 points.
So, and with that, let's get into the injury report. Tecmo Bowl sounder is just so good.
Yeah, I love Tecmo Bowl. All right, injury front. What do we have here? Let's start with just the Browns because they're an absolute mess. Wyatt Teller out. We're looking at a couple of weeks.
Add 30 minutes to the podcast.
Myles Garrett questionable with feet is day to day. David Njoku still listed as out. Kevin Stefanski said, we'll see if he will be available for week 4 against the Raiders.
I doubt it.
Pierre Strong still out. Jack Conklin still out. Amari Cooper is questionable with nothing. Doesn't have any kind of injury designation listed there. Just says he's questionable, so that's not good. James Hudson supposed to undergo an MRI this week after a shoulder injury and the loss to the Giants.
Great.
Jed Wills undergoing an MRI.
Good thing we have so much depth at offensive line.
Jed Wills undergoing an MRI.
Good thing we have so much depth at offensive line.
After a knee injury and the loss to the Giants. And then there's a whole bunch of other guys that we've already talked about. Juan Thornhill, Mo Hurst, and those guys that are already on the injured reserve. So
I don't like that.
I mean, we do have quite a few guys out. I'm looking forward to maybe Nyheim Hines getting a chance to come back. He was on the non-injury football list, but was because of his status to miss, I think, a minimum of 4 games. So might end up getting a chance to see him sometime soon, but not this week. And then on the Raiders side of things, safety Marcus Epps officially listed as questionable with a torn ACL.
How are you questionable with a torn ACL?
My guess is
you can't run.
That designation by the end of the week.
That's your entire job.
Will be changed to out. Linebacker Divine.
If he plays. That's. I'm calling it right now. It's dog of the week.
Yeah, Marcus Epps,
because you're an absolute dog if you're just playing on a torn ACL.
Starting outside linebacker Divine Diablo.
What is that like? Spanish for fighting chicken or something?
I don't know how else to pronounce it except for Diablo. It's DEA blow. Like, Diablo, right?
Diablo.
He's listed as out currently. Again, no injury designation. And then Max Crosby, silver lining here, did emerge from Sunday's loss to the Panthers with the dreaded high ankle sprain.
Oh boy!
He is.
My hopes are high. I'm not that high, but still higher than they once were.
He's officially listed as questionable.
This is exciting.
Thayer Munford, offensive tackle, left the game against the Panthers on Sunday. He's got a knee.
We all have knees. Well, I guess not all of us. Sorry to anybody who doesn't have legs.
And Cameron Richardson, corner. What's happening right now? This is the injury report. What are we doing here? Lieutenant Dan ain't got no legs.
Wow, that's Lieutenant Dan.
Ice cream.
She smelled like cigarettes.
DeCameron Richardson was out Sunday, cornerback. So we'll see if he can get right before Sunday's game against the Browns.
Nice. You know what it's time for?
The injury report brought to you by Kenny's Cliff Notes.
You know what it's time for? Our player to watch.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to go first this time.
Thanks. Ooh. Thank goodness.
My player to watch this week, Deontay Foreman. So, guys, in case you didn't notice last week, he was basically non-existent. They gave him 2 carries against the Giants.
I noticed because I'm running back lean in my fantasy team, and I thought, maybe Deontay scores a touchdown this week.
Nope. He had 14 carries against Jacksonville, and not that he had like a really high yards per carry or anything, but he was a force in that there was big collisions. He was a bruiser, and it showed. Jerome Ford, who we're all not high on. We don't think very highly of Jerome Ford at all. He averaged like 7 yards a carry in that game, and I think a lot of it was because Deontay Foreman was opening up the defense.
100%.
He needs to be involved this time.
That's the compliment that this running game needs is Foreman to be your bruiser right now, wear down the defense, and then do slip screens, draws, little things you can get Jerome Ford out into space. Like that's how you run the ball right now until Nick Chubb comes back.
Absolutely, and so yeah, I mean, not to mention the Raiders have a below average rush defense. And we clearly can't give we can give him, but he doesn't take the right amount of time to throw the ball. He holds on to it too long. So we just run the ball.
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 That's all you got to do.
Just run the ball.
If you run the ball, you'll win. Well, you want to win, put Booby in.
Yeah. Now you're talking.
Yep.
Bone, who's your player to watch this week?
I'm going to go Denzel. I think he's going to be matched up with Devontae Adams quite a bit. I don't think they're going to move him, but he'll play his side of the field. So when he gets his chance, I think he'll hopefully shut him down. Keep the ball out of his hands.
Nice. From Gladiator 2 to the Browns football team. Denzel. Kenny, who you got?
I was just saying, I was reading the outline here.
Yeah.
And I was looking at Bones' player to watch, and I was reading it from the next segment, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Then I realized it was a different segment. So player to watch, Bone went Zell. I'm going to go on the other side. I'm going to go Martin Emerson.
Nice.
This dude was basically a stud all last year, and we were excited about him coming into this year. To this point, has been victimized on a couple of plays, was victimized Sunday big time by Malik Neighbors.
Neighbors made him look silly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, super duper silly. And so Martin Emerson has just not looked like the same guy this season. We need that. I mean, this guy was an aggressive hitter with just blanket coverage on everybody. We can't have the guy out there that just doesn't have any ball skills and can't cover rookies guy. Like, we got to have the old Martin Emerson back. He's a key.
You want to play for the Browns, you got to have good ball skills.
yeah, give me the balls. He's got to get back to form. So I expect, like Bowen said, Zell to cover Devontae most of the day. So watching Martin Emerson, because if he does end up on number one, he's got to step up and play like the Martin Emerson we saw last year.
Yeah, for sure. And so, guys, let's get gassed up. All right, guys, it's that time again. Is there anything getting you gassed up right now? Anything at all?
Not so much.
Kenny, we'll start with you.
The Browns for sure. Oh, that wasn't even Bowen. That was yours. That's funny.
Yeah, we're starting with you.
I'm really f***ed up, man.
Yeah, you are.
I'm gassed up. Guys.
Yes.
NBA season's about to start, so naturally starting to get some NBA news. And recently, it was announced the new designs for the NBA City Series jerseys, which, obviously it's just a huge money grab for the NBA, if nothing else.
For sure.
But each year we are delighted with a few, weird, obscure designs. And this one just caught my eye this week and just really pissed me off because do we have the jerseys? Let's bring this up here. So the jersey that we have this year says "The Land Across the Front" and is powder blue. I was just kind of like taking in the reaction on YouTube to see, or YouTube on Twitter to see like what's going on, what do people think, and I was greeted by some just really annoying, misinformed tweets. Things like, it's not really our colors, but looks sweet, doesn't it? Cleveland Tough said, when has any of our Cleveland teams or Cleveland in general been associated with powder blue?
I don't know, 1995?
Literally most of the 90s up until LeBron James got here. Like, Cleveland, the blue-collar city and diehard sports fans. How does that equate to powder blue? How about this one? Is it a thing to not have any of your team's colors in it? I don't think I'd wear that if someone gave it to me.
I'm embarrassed that these people are Cavs fans.
I'm embarrassed that they're alive.
Well,
like you're taking up good oxygen from somebody that deserves it, and you clearly don't. Powder blue? Are they now the Oilers? Stay with the wine and gold and get rid of these horrible City Connects and alternate garbage uniforms.
Do these people really not like? Do they really think this was never one of their colors?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was just like
bozos,
like
bunch of bozos.
What did I lost?
A bunch of boneheads, and here. Bone knows a thing or two about boneheads.
But just other comments about like, isn't that Memphis colors or
Carolina?
Are they coordinating with Carolina? Yeah, the New York Times had an article in the Athletic.
Gave them what?
The New York Times gave them a 4 out of 10 in their rankings, and basically wrote. Have they campaigned to partner with the University of North Carolina? Again, we'll go back to the fact that, like,
it's right there.
Most of the 90s, the Cavaliers were synonymous with powder blue, black, and orange. Yeah. Like, a whole generation of players.
Literally,
it was the only time the Cavaliers were really, really good was in kind of that
pre-LeBron,
pre-LeBron. Like, these are pretty iconic jerseys, pretty iconic.
And they should know this. They just brought those jerseys back like 4 years ago.
My favorite Cavs shirt to wear it all the time on the program is the powder blue Cavs shirt, because those are my favorite Cavs jerseys. Those are the ones I grew up with.
This is literally what the Cavs were wearing when all of us were old enough to start watching basketball.
So yeah, I'm not here to argue like whether or not they should make the city jerseys or whether or not they're even cool designs, but the fact that we have people out here that are questioning, when was powder blue a Cleveland color? Are you idiots?
And you call yourself Cleveland fans?
Like, seriously,
get out.
You are useless to the world.
Get out.
Get out.
Bone, what's getting you gassed up?
My car, or my wife's car.
Did she hit a pony?
No, it's just the annoying safety features. I don't know if anybody's covered this yet, but she drives a Palisade. It's a nice vehicle. I like it overall. Of course, the auto shutoff pisses me off every time it happens. Luckily, there's a button in this model where I can turn the auto shutoff off,
like
at
when
the
you stop
stoplights.
Stoplight turns off.
Yeah, your air conditioning gets hot. Yeah. The car turns off. It's just super annoying. So I always try to remember to press that button to keep it on. And then a few of like the braking features. Like, I go to back out of my driveway and I see a car coming, and it'll just like slam the brakes on you and just beep at you and yell at you when you see what's going on.
You got to turn the sensitivity down on that.
Maybe it's my issue, but there's also a sensitivity issue on the front. Like, it'll stop you in your tracks, like when you're driving. Like, you ever slow play somebody turning right into like a CVS, and you're hitting your brakes. You know they're turning, but you're not stopping completely. Yep. It'll stop your ass dead in the road. Yeah, if you get too close to that car.
Yeah,
and so I'm gassed up on that. It pisses me off.
I don't like that either. That seems more dangerous.
Yeah,
I agree.
The lane assist stuff.
Yes.
Like sometimes I like to cheat a little bit. Like if I'm next to a semi.
Sure.
And it pushes me back into it, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah, it's like forcing your steering wheel over.
That, and the other one that always gets me too with the safety stuff on the cars is like going through a drive-through. Mm-hmm. Because it senses that I'm next to a building or bushes, and it's just yelling at me the entire time. I'm in the drive-through.
That's a good one.
How do I turn you off just while I'm in there used to be the drive-through mode?
You guys got to go through the settings. There's a lot of things you can change, but I agree.
I'm next to
a lot of those things are very, very annoying.
Sure.
So
yeah, we need like
the got me riled up.
We need the AI revolution to hit cars like where they see things better.
Yeah. No, I accept that, Bone. I don't like some of the safety features either. My car has a lot of them, so.
Yeah,
they can get on my nerves.
Yeah, that's all I got.
It just beeps so loud. I had to turn the volume like all the way down.
Oh, whoa! One last thing. on this car in particular. If it's hot out and you leave the windows down, like cracked in the car, and say you lock your car and then you go do something, 15, 20 minutes later, it just starts going off, the alarm, the car alarm. Because I guess it thinks you might have left somebody in the car or something and the windows are down. Like that's something you would do if you left like your dog in the car.
What in the world?
Like I don't get it, dude. It happens to her car all the time.
God,
that is awful.
This dog thing in the car thing has gone way too far. The amount of people that are like, they see an animal in the car and are just like, I will bust that window out.
I actually totally agree with this because what we do is I actually will leave the car running with the air conditioning on and the dog inside. And I'm always worried ever since they passed that law in Ohio where like, okay, I get it. Like sometimes it's needed and I wouldn't care about a law or not. If I saw a dog was dying in a car, I'd probably break your window anyways.
If the dog was dying, but people will just do it because like if you're running in to get a Gatorade from the gas station and you leave your air on with the car with the dog in it, your dog is going to live. You're going to be 3 minutes in and out.
It's going to live if I'm in there 20 minutes because the air conditioning's on.
Right. There's no reason to break my window.
Right.
But people just get overzealous with this and they're like, they see an animal in a car and they're like, oh,
we got to get it out of there.
From Rocco's Modern Life. How dare you?
Yeah, I agree. We've gone too far. We'll talk about that another time. We're not gassed up about that yet. We will be, though. My gassed up for this week is the in-between weather. What do I mean by that? Right now in Ohio. I love the fall. It's my favorite time of the year. But this right before the fall, when it's like the end of summer, beginning of fall, is the worst. Because we're in the time of year where you wake up in the morning and you feel like you should have put the heat on.
Yeah.
But then by midday, it's like boiling hot and you can turn the air conditioning on. But then it's cooling down at night again. You're like, maybe I should turn the heat on again because it way overshot my 68 degrees I wanted the house at, and now it's at like 62. And it's just pissing me off, and it's going to get worse and worse until it finally settles into fall weather, which is where I want it to be.
Yeah, the real pain in the ass too is like you'd almost like to just open your windows sometimes, but then because it's that in between season, like there's a lot of pollen and grass and shit out that just messes with
my allergies are nuts right now.
So like I'd rather keep the house closed and just play the heat air conditioning.
And then another thing, like I said, dressing. Like, what do you wear? Like, so like you get up in the morning, you're like, it's pretty chilly out. I should put like a long pants and a sweatshirt on. By midday, you're dying. You're like, holy shit, I should have wore shorts.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get home, you're like, probably this is a good choice.
You got a layer for sure.
You just go through an emotional roller coaster every day just because of the weather.
Yeah,
it's the worst. It's the worst. But that'll do it for Gassed Up. Let's get into King of the North. All right, so in case anyone doesn't know by now, this is our year-long AFC North Pick'em competition. At the end of the season, whoever comes in last place gets punished.
It's a good thing it's a year long.
Yeah. In the preseason last year, Kenny had a gross of eggs thrown at him by fans in the Muni lot before a game. In the preseason this year, Kenny had his head and beard shaved clean off. Ooh, that is good. I'm stopping right here for a second to say that the Commanders are leading 20-10, and I am very excited. But yeah, so in the preseason this year, Kenny had his head and beard shaved clean off. Donated a lot of hair that day.
We got to relive this every week.
Absolutely, we do.
Fuck you.
Punishment this season will be you have to go to a public pool, get in, and then publicly announce that you have peed in the pool.
Yeah,
You excited?
I'm regretting.
You excited?
Suggesting this.
You excited?
Punishment.
I feel like
because you know it's going to be you.
I think we may need to adjust it. I feel like there could be like some legal things, like from whoever runs this pool. They have to shut it down and be like, "You guys were just joking, but were you joking?" Like
we've talked about
now
it.
Now we're going to test the water.
Yeah, well,
we got a plan.
Yeah, we'll have a backup plan too if we can't do that. But that's the main one.
Yes.
And it's going to be you.
The public humiliation.
Just be excited. Yeah. But let's get into things. First things first, I want to remind everyone that Bone is the reigning, defending king of the North. Kenny, you're still a clown. So let's remind everybody.
I prefer court jester.
Either way, you're a clown. Before we actually get into our picks, let's talk about the updated standings. After week 3, I sit at 4-7. This is before the Cincinnati game. We all picked it the same, so it won't really have any bearings on the standings. I'm at 4-7. I'm in first place. Great records this year, guys. Great records.
So bad.
Bone, you're at 3-8, and Kenny, right where you should be, at 2-9, last place. So let's get into this week's game. Cincinnati heads to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Kenny, who you got?
I mean, I thought before this Commanders game that Cincinnati was going to right the ship here, and that they would for sure beat the lowly Carolina Panthers. But all of a sudden, Carolina's hot with the Red Rocket.
Former team, too.
And Cincy looks like they may drop to 0-3 here against Washington.
It's not looking good right now.
Fuck it. Let's go Carolina.
Hell yes.
I was going to go Cincy, but let's go Carolina. I think they ride the Red Rocket a little longer. And Chuba Hubbard was in his...
Hey, if he has another good game, they might ride the Red Rocket all season long.
Chuba Hubbard was in his bag this week. Deontay Johnson or Jack, I can't remember the receiver's name. Deontay Johnson, I think.
Yeah.
Had just a monster game.
He knows Cincinnati well from his days in Pittsburgh.
Whole team looked like a totally different franchise overnight with the addition of
the Red Rocket. Yeah. Bone, who you got?
Oh, man.
Did he swing you?
Cincinnati heads to Carolina. Man, they're 0-3. I'm going to go Cincinnati.
All right. Any reason why?
I just, going 0-4. I don't.
You just don't see him going 0-4.
I guess. Yeah, I just don't see him going 0-4.
I'm right there with you. We all picked Cincinnati to win this week, and right now they're losing 21-10.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't think they were going 0-3.
I don't see him going 0-3. You're right. Yeah.
But no, I'm right there with you, Bone. I'm taking Cincinnati as well. I just don't see them going 0-4. Carolina's still not good, so I'm going to go with Cincinnati in this one. Next up here, the Steelers. They make the trip to Indy to battle the Colts. Bone, who you got?
I'm going Colts. I think they finally end the Steelers' undefeated season.
Undefeated season.
Yeah.
That's hard to say. Kenny, who you got?
I unfortunately have to pick the Steelers. They're starting to gel around Justin Fields.
Yeah.
That offense is getting a little better each week. It feels like he's getting more comfortable. It's getting to the point now where it's feeling like Russell Wilson ever being a quarterback for this team is just not going to happen unless Justin Fields gets hurt.
I agree. And what did we say all offseason long? You have a much better chance throughout the season if you play Justin Fields.
Right. And I just think that his athleticism...
Sorry, Bone.
That's all right.
Russell's washed.
I think that his athleticism is a difference maker. As much as I like the Colts in this one just because they're at home and I think like they're due because they've been playing decent football, I got to go Steelers. I think that they just continue to make our life miserable and start 0-4.
For every reason that you just said... I am also going Steelers. I hate to say it, but they're going to be 4-0. And it's all going to be behind Justin Fields. It's going to close the door on Russell Wilson ever playing for the Steelers. I imagine he will be on the trade block here soon.
Well, I don't even know. Like, he's not a bad backup.
No, but he's on
Justin Fields has to.
But he's on a 1-year deal, and they're probably going to try and get what they can out of him.
Sure, but I mean, if Justin Fields does have to miss time, I'd rather have Russell Wilson back there.
Russell Wilson in Miami?
Well, that's another
exactly. Like, think of what you could get for him when there's quarterback needy teams out there.
I still just know like they're not paying him anything, so like, there's still good value.
It feels so bad to say that the Steelers are going to be 4-0. And the other thing that I had here was Anthony Richardson. He's completing 49% of his passes on the year.
Yeah,
49. That's really bad.
I mean, he makes big plays, but he's also just kind of careless.
Yeah. So.
I'll just say this too: is that. Like we talk about games the Browns should win, like Mike Tomlin teams win the games they should win.
Yeah.
This feels like a team like they should. This feels like the easy part of their schedule. You know, they should win this game.
Absolutely. Bone, did we swing it yet? Are you still?
I'm going to stick with it.
All right, I like that. All right, and so next up here, we've got the Ravens hosting the Bills. I'll go first here. I've got Buffalo in this one. Baltimore finally got on the board this past week and beat the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys are that good. I think we're way worse than we thought we were, and the Cowboys are not that good. So I like Buffalo in this because Buffalo's just a juggernaut right now. Like, there's nobody in that same tier as Buffalo that's kind of separated themselves from the pack besides maybe the Chiefs, and they've got the refs on their side. So
they got rid of Ken Dorsey, so a lot of dead weight there.
Yeah, exactly. So I like Buffalo in this one, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close. So, Bone, who you got?
I'm going to go with the Bills as well. We're watching them just tear it up on Monday Night Football right now. They're just good. Josh Allen is just a stud. And
I forgot we were watching that. What are they up, like 34-10 or something like that?
I think so, yeah. Buffalo's going to win.
Nice. Kenny?
I got Buffalo as well. Give me the wings. I think like we were just talking off air a little bit. Like I think Buffalo and KC are basically the class of the AFC. I think it's going to be hard for basically anybody to kind of compete with them. I think, like, if I had to pick today, that's your AFC Championship game is probably Buffalo and Kansas City, and that's who will determine who goes to the Super Bowl. Like,
and really, that'll be the Super Bowl. Like that. Like, even though it won't be in the Super Bowl, that'll be the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean unless like San Francisco maybe again ends up there. I mean, there's a lot of talent, some injuries and things right now, and have started slow. But like I could easily see a Buffalo San Fran Super Bowl. Sure. But I think Buffalo probably tears them up in that.
Yep.
It just feels like they've been good for a long time, and it feels
time to take the next step.
Yeah, it's time for them to take that next step, or it's time for them to just have an absolute villain in Kansas City, just wrecks them every year. Like
that would feel so
one way or the other.
That would feel so bad if they lost again.
Something's going to happen. But for this week against the Ravens, I'll take the Bills.
Yep. And then finally, the Browns are in Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Kenny, who you got?
Guys, I got bad news.
The Browns aren't good?
This team is soft. It's full of guys getting veteran days off, guys who haven't practiced, a team full of stars that feels like are aging faster than time itself. They look disinterested. They don't care. They're undisciplined. They make fundamental mistakes. Like, receiver catches the ball. Running back should be able to take a handoff. We should be able to align properly pre-snap. And they can't or they won't do any of it. Your quarterback is wildly inconsistent. Certainly at no point has looked like the quarterback you paid $230 million for. Like, I know all these problems aren't all Deshaun's fault. But the reason you went and got a guy like Deshaun Watson,
he was supposed to be the game changer
because he was the type of talent that was supposed to help you overcome that. Like, he was the difference maker. He was supposed to cover up the ugly, the things that weren't going well. Like, his talent was supposed to be transcendent. At best, he's a game manager and a poor one at that. Like, this team needs a spark. It needs a rally. It needs something that says the status quo isn't good enough anymore. I'm at break glass in case of emergency. Like, how many times did Deshaun Watson have a chance to lead a game-winning drive on Sunday?
Like 5.
Like, at least 3, like, conservatively.
Yeah.
And that's what good quarterbacks do. Hell, not even good quarterbacks. P.J. Walker, DTR, Joe Flacco, they all did that last year for the Browns. Yep. And despite how bad they might have played up until that point, if you get the chance with 4-minute drill, 2-minute drill, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to get done. And Deshaun has literally never done it in orange and brown, not even once. Like,
one time.
Like, look around the league. Like, there's
not a defense of him either. That's one time. He's done it one time. $230 million got us one come from behind victory over the Ravens.
One. But, like, look around the league. Guys like Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Justin Fields, Malik Willis. Hell, Andy Dalton just won a game in Carolina, for Christ's sake. Like, this league is full of guys that were cast off, waiting to be put in the right situation at the right time. I contend that you have a very capable one right now in Jameis Winston. At worst, he's going to give you the same production you're getting out of Deshaun. And look, like, again, I'm at DEFCON 1, so, like, this is the reason for the monologue. Like, something needs to change, and to me, the only way you can do that is drastic change. Like, you got to remember that it's not just Deshaun's poor play. Like, how many first-round draft picks did we sacrifice for this guy? That, like, you can't tell me that this team wouldn't benefit right now from having 3 young studs anywhere else in the lineup, offensive line, defensive backfield, 3 young guys that were up and coming that could help. I mean, that's 3 out of 22 starters. That's 14% of your roster that you traded for Deshaun, who's done nothing for you. So I just, like, again, DEFCON 1. Deshaun, with the Deshaun Watson trade, Andrew Berry, like him, hate him, like his moves, don't like his moves. Like, he signed a death warrant for this team. He signed a death warrant for the team, and the hourglass is completely run out. Soul straight to Satan. Like, for a guy that's likely a sex offender and just downright has no business playing in the NFL at this point. Like, I put Stefanski in there too. Like, these two, he's not powerless here. Like, he's got to have a voice in that room to be able to say, like, what I'm watching at practice every day isn't good enough. But the fact of the matter is, like, this team is on a freight train straight to hell. Like, for what? For what? So we can watch that hot pile of butt release we watched yesterday. Like, the Deshaun experiment's over. Reshuffle the deck. Let Jameis try to keep this team competitive and draft a quarterback over the next 2 years. That can be your long-term answer because Deshaun ain't him. Browns lose this game 20-16.
We were waiting for an absolution that would never come. Well, you made me even more depressed than I already was, so I'll just go ahead and say I've got Las Vegas winning this as well. Almost an identical score to yours. I'm going 20-17. Both of us are at the under of that 37.5. All right, so Bone, who do you got?
All right, Kenny got me all fired up now. I'm pissed. Deshaun is below average in every freaking way, and we were sold a bag of stale goods. I don't know. It just sucks. So I have zero faith in the Browns right now, and I'm probably at the lowest I've ever been as a Browns fan.
Ever? We've been through some shit, man. And this is it. I'm just saying. This is the bottom of the barrel for you?
The hype, the expectations, everything that has come with it is so dissatisfying, so just lowly and just pathetic. I
don't think we've ever said the word lowly on our podcast before today, and we've said it like 14 times. That's where we're at as Browns fans.
There's nothing I can go off of. I could say the defense could win us the game possibly. I feel like our defense is still pretty good, but the offense is so bad. They drag our defense down all 3 weeks so far throughout the season. It's just hard to watch. And the Browns are going out west. They don't win out west.
They don't win out west. We didn't even talk about that yet. Yeah.
It's like it's not even a factor because they're so bad.
I have very little hope in this team. And unless something changes, I can't pick them to win. So, yeah, Las Vegas, I'll go 25-15.
Ooh. You're going with the over.
I like that. I mean, the thing is, like, there have been some really interesting scores in the NFL this year. So.
I think Stefanski will go for 2 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, what is it? Like, it's just like he just does, like, it's just the analytics decisions just because of analytics.
Yeah.
You know, like, what was the purpose of that?
The future!
Like,
the future!
Just because he had so little, like, hope in his offense that he's like, I gotta score all the points I can at one time.
I think he's so obsessed with his ability to, like, call an offense. Like, it's like, I'm just gonna keep giving the ball to Jerome Ford. He's my guy. I'm not giving up on him. I'm gonna prove to everybody he can be a star in this league.
Yeah. The only person in the room that he can outsmart is himself.
Every time.
But yeah, let me remind you to call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Leave hot takes about this shit. Like, are you serious? Like, the Browns fucking suck.
We're the worst.
They're so bad.
We're the worst.
Just let us know how bad we are.
We're a Browns podcast. Like, we love the Browns.
We love them, and we're going to keep watching them, but we're going to be miserable doing it.
They're my favorite freaking team.
Yeah. Please be better. Be better.
Do better.
And leave your hot takes on the Hot Take Hotline, 330-227-8080.
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080. Call now. Operators are not standing by. And be sure to check out our gear, www.thetapandmedia.com/shop. And that'll do it for us. What can we expect next week, Kenny?
Live from Akron, it's Sunday night. That's right. Join us Sunday evening after the game for another very special live edition of BRS. That's us, Burning River Sportscast. We will be recapping the Browns' Week 4 game against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a 4:25.
I hope it's a much happier time this Sunday.
It's a 4:25 game this week, so I'll be a little bit later, probably 8:30-ish, maybe 9 o'clock from the live show. But you'll see the notification hit your social medias and all places you can find the Burning River Sportscast. And we promise that, I'm not going to make that promise, but I'm going to say we're going to try real hard to get all the feeds up and running this time, because we've had a few issues here and there with a couple of the feeds, but by and large, most of them have worked most of the time.
Yeah.
Next Thursday, though, we'll be back to
like
Week 5 against the Commanders, and then we will have the Washington, D.C. area Browns backers on as well. And I think we had a reschedule for.
Oh, we had a reschedule. We were supposed to.
Correspondent John Hughes will be joining us next week.
Yeah, that is true. And don't forget to check us out on social media. Tappan Media is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Tappan Media and Burning River Sportscast. That's This podcast is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Burning River Sportscast, and on X at Burning River Pod. You can find our podcast wherever you get your podcast. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Podcast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. Do you know what that takes us to, Kenny? Facts for Days. do you got for us today, Kenny?
I got some facts for days.
I want to hear them.
All right, I'll give you number one.
Number one.
The Pope can't donate organs.
Oh.
In 1970,
he will save no lives.
Pope Benedict XVI was issued an organ donor card. However, once he ascended to the papacy in 2005, the card was deemed invalid. The Pope has to be buried with his whole body intact because it is the property of the Catholic Church.
Wow.
That's so fucked up, man.
Bizarre.
So he will make no blind men see again.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right. Next.
Number two. You know, I love this one because we get so obsessed in this culture in our country with education, and we confuse education with intelligence a lot of the time.
Yeah,
sure.
We do.
So I love reading.
Facts.
I love reading stories like this. I have a ton of parents that I know. They're just like all about their kids getting into the gifted program, you know, in elementary school. And I'm like, first off, I was in every gifted program imaginable.
And you're an idiot.
I was in every honors class imaginable.
Yeah.
And like, I still got to get up and work like a 9 to 5. And like, I don't live in a mansion. I don't own jet skis. Like, I didn't create Facebook. Like, I'm just a guy. Just a guy running a podcast, like
just a jag.
And at no point in my life, either hiring people or knowing people who have been hired, has anybody ever been asked, like, "Well, were you in the gifted program in 3rd grade?" Anyways,
nobody asked you that.
Oh, no,
I get asked that on a daily basis.
Nobody's ever like, "Did you take honors English in 10th grade?"
Matter of fact, when I interviewed for my current day job, they said, "Were you in honors English?"
Like, you look like a guy that could do some organic chemistry.
Yeah.
Like honors organic chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, all this to say, Martin Luther King Jr. earned, I'll say this because our teachers always teach you earn grades, earned a C in public speaking.
Wow.
Everyone remembers Dr. King as the activist with his I Have a Dream speech delivered in 1963.
Never heard a good speech from that guy.
However, Martin Luther, well, that's because he's not here anymore.
That was a joke, by the way.
However,
that was a joke.
Martin Luther King actually earned a C in public speaking while attending the Crozier Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania.
I bet do they feel dumb now?
It just reminds me of that scene in Gone Girl when Ben Affleck comes back and he's like, "You and a panel of nitwits diagnosed me as a sociopath." Just love it. Number three. Do we remember the epic Troy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Brad Pitt.
Very long.
Just Brad Pitt's ass out. Just.
Oh, yeah.
For days.
Cheeks for days.
Cheeks for days. Clapping cheeks all over the bad guys.
Booty cheeks.
Who doesn't remember?
During production of the engrossing epic, Pitt ironically suffered a painful injury to his Achilles tendon. Call him a method actor that set filming back several weeks. The unfortunate hiccup did not hinder the final product, which grossed nearly $500 million at the box office upon its release. It did, however, frustrate the director at the time, who was receiving all kinds of complaints and negative publicity his way because so many had already been delayed by a hurricane that had basically destroyed all of their sets weeks prior to that. So
damn hurricanes and people getting hurt.
And then Brad Pitt goes and literally tears his Achilles and sets everything back another 8 weeks. So before he could get back on.
You wanted me to be the guy. Now I'm the guy, and now you're mad.
He went full Achilles on him.
Yeah.
He really did it to him.
He went full ass.
You
never go half-ass. You always go full ass.
Full ass.
Yeah.
What a great movie. That's Facts for Days, my friends.
I didn't think we'd be getting into I didn't think we'd be getting into Brad Pitt's ass. I can't even say it.
I didn't think we'd be getting into Brad Pitt's ass.
Yeah. Didn't think we'd get in there.
We talk a lot of analingus on this show.
Oh, man. Bone?
Bon appetit.
Don't be a part of the problem. Be the whole damn problem.
And only you can prevent river fires.
Burning River!
Burning River!
Burning River!
It was like we raced to the microphone.
Burning River! It's finally over. The pain is over.
I was trying to win this week.
The Browns have brought us pain, and now it's over.
Do we have a song about pain we could sing?
The first cut is the deepest. Baby, I know.
The first cut is the deepest.
When it comes to being lucky, he's cursed.
But when it comes to loving me, he's worse. The first cut is a deep. There's a lot of rests in this song we didn't account for without background music.
Yeah, we're scrolling the lyrics through our brains.
Good night, Cleveland. Good night, Cleveland.
Good night, Ack.
Good night, Cleveland.
Quiet on set.
I now have 2 loves in my life. Big city living and a voodoo woman named Phyllis.
So put your right foot in and take your right foot out, then put your right foot in and shut the hell up because it's not time for the hokey pokey. It's time for the Burning River Sportscast.
Motorboat? You play the motorboat? You motorboat son of a bitch. You old sailor, you.
You know what I was thinking during that interview?
What? What were you thinking? Nothing because you don't have thoughts because you're a brainless idiot?
Wow.
My name is Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
By the way, I want my foreskin back.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Women's Guide to Anal Sex, and it was the 2nd edition. Who makes the second edition?
The weather outside is weather.
The other one, the finger eating food fingers.
Oh my God! My house is full of shit! He's shit everywhere!
Yes.
Ejaculate all over my body and my genitals.
Yes.
Oh no! We suck again!
You don't need fundamentals when you got heart.
and Jesus.
And Jesus.
Yeah, that's right.
Touchdown. Anyways.
Number 1.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
It's going down. I'm
yelling timber.
Goddamn jets.
Are we gonna?
You're only in this city.
Should we start a meat podcast about like
the meat pod?
Slow roasted.
The leads are weak. The leads are weak. Fucking leads are weak. You're weak.
That we should send a team of oil core drillers a la Armageddon to Mars to have them access the newly discovered reservoirs of water trapped 7 to 12 miles under the surface that, when released, will cover the entirety of everything on the planet, less than a mile high.
All I do is win no matter what.
Erroneous on both counts. Oh, Lord.
I mean, last year when I won and went home, my wife's pants hit the ground.
Wow.
But damn!
Well, I'm sorry, I hijacked your segment for a second to do some good podcasting.
You know why, mister? Because you drove a Hyundai to get here tonight. I drove an $80,000 BMW. That's my name.
I think we've officially lost all of our more conservative viewers. So I don't think they want to listen any longer.
This is just it's Mother Nature.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Where's Logo Girl when you need her?
I desperately want to make love to
This cheese
We
girl.
need Cheese Girl now.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
Who's canceled now? Who's canceled now?
Probably me.
You making fun of fat people?
I'm not. Just you.
We're a whole race, basically.
No way. You just finger bang their salad. What?
You first get shocked, and then you get the shocker.
Hey, you like to see homos naked? That's cool, man. Whatever. No.
Most people, they're driving along and they're like in between meals. They're like, I'm a little hungry. I'm going to have a granola bar. And he's like, I need a cheeseburger.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you were here?
Browns fans, come party with Cleveland Browns legends Josh Cribbs, Kevin Mack, and Joe Hayden. True Fan Travel, an official fan experience partner of the Cleveland Browns, is hosting premium trip packages for Browns fans to Las Vegas, New Orleans, Denver, and DC. Everything is taken care of. Flights, hotels, tailgate, game tickets, transportation, food, drinks, everything that's important to Browns fans. Visit truefantravel.com today and reserve your ultimate Browns travel package. That's truefantravel.com.
Today's episode was brought to you by Towpath Rum. Towpath Rum, silver rum made from the highest grade molasses. Distilled 3 times in a copper pot still, this rum is designed to be the backbone of a great cocktail. So good you can drink it by itself. Available locally in Northeast Ohio and online in 46 states. Towpath Rum.